Welcome into another edition of The Butcher versus the Spin Instructor, presented by LB's Meat Market. This is week number 12 of the big competition. Greg Jones, the Butcher from LB's versus Campbell McCready, the Spin Instructor from Zen Fayetteville. Hope you all are both doing well. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Ready for another weekend.
Yeah, it's we were just talking about it before we got started. A little chilly. It's kind of I think it's going to be really nice. It's going to clear out. It's been wet here in Oxford. Anticipate that clearing out, and going to be some cold nights, perfect nights for lighting the grill and lighting a fire and all of those things. I guess, Greg, before we get started, what's going on at LB's this weekend as we get transition from Thanksgiving and start getting ready for the Christmas holidays?
Yeah, I mean, just, planning just for your basic standard weekend around the store. Zach came in. He went back for Thanksgiving and just came back in last night and made, I would say, 160 pounds of sausage last night. So we're stocked up on the sausage. We've got he even made a new sausage. It's a spicy lamb with Gardenier. You ever had
Love it.
Chicago style beef? We made a lamb and beef sausage with some Gardenier in it. So it should have a little pop to it. So a little spicy lamb and beef sausage. Yeah, I'm just pretty much stocked up ready to go. The mushrooms look good. Asparagus look good. We're running a bacon wrap larger filet for $20. It's about a 10 to 11 ounce filet for $20. And then of course we've got the clipboard special, which is going to be on Sundays, $8 lane trains, and then of course the lane trains. So just stocked up, ready for the weekend. Hopefully it's going to be a good weekend, weather pending.
Hey, I know a lot of people do beef tenderloin for Christmas. We got ours from LB's the last couple of years. It was outstanding. Do people need to order that ahead of time? Go ahead and get in line for that.
Yeah, I mean, we've already actually had some people ask when we're taking Christmas orders. So, we'll take a Christmas order in January, if it makes you feel better. But yeah, a lot of beef tenderloins, standing rib roasts are very popular. Crown pork roasts are very popular. But yes, I recommend the trimmed and tied beef tenderloin. It's right around. The biggest one I've ever trimmed was a little over 4 pounds. I know that, your basic cookbook says a 5 to 6 ounce beef tenderloin. That really does exist, but you have to trim the chain muscle, the silver skin off, and, present it to where it's right around 3 to 4 pounds. So, we can do that. I'm a real fan of the standing rib roast. I trim the bones off and then I tie them back on. So, you literally just set the standing rib roast on the grill and just smoke it. And then whenever it gets to your the proper temperature you like, I like cooking beef at like 125 to 130. More rare than medium, because you can't go back. Once you've reached 135, 140, you can't be like, all right, we need to cool this thing down. So, once it gets to about 130. Clip the strings off and literally just slice the standing rib roast off the bone. It's really good stuff. So, but yes, we're taking orders, and just I don't know what the last day is on call-in orders, but we'll get to that, Christmas Eve, closing day, or whenever we get closer to it.
It's all at LB's Meat Market, 2008 University Avenue in Oxford. We'll get you some contact information at the end of this show. Last week on the show, guys, it was Parker Sheeran was on. We had the big burger bet. Parker was able to defeat Greg. Parker was not able to defeat Campbell, which means that Parker is the burger bet loser. Campbell, I know you have spoken with Parker about this. I have tweeted about it. I made the tweet that said, "So it is written, so shall it be done." The burger, her first burger, is going to be maybe her best burger, because she's going to get it straight from LB's. It'll be hard to top the one that she'll get. But how is she feeling about the imminent consumption of a burger?
Well, I told her before even all the games were done, I was like, I always win, so it looks like you might have to eat a burger. And she was like, I think that I have to give the people what they want. So I think she's mentally prepared herself. She's going to be probably a little dramatic about it though before she eats it. And I think that even if she did like it, she'd pretend that she didn't just because she has to continue the act of never having a burger. But I think she's preparing.
So last week on the show, let's see, we had one game that was a push. I gave everybody a win. We had one game that got COVIDed. I gave everybody a win. And then I forgot to get y'all's picks on Georgia versus South Carolina. My mistake. I gave everybody a win. So everybody started off 3-0. I thought that was the fair way to do it. The mistakes were mine, or COVID, or a tie in this case. And so I said, you know what? Everybody gets wins there. So everybody started out 3-0.
Yep.
We probably should have stopped there, Greg.
Yeah, my chasing theory is I have chased into the darkness. I went a little too early on the chasing this go round.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-1 against the spread is speechless, unbelievable.
It truly is remarkable.
I mean, it's. I felt like I kind of got set up on this because I feel like she's been a closet handicapper all her life, and just so with that being said, just it goes to show how bad of a gambler I am, and how just like I said, speechless over the whole deal.
So Greg was 3-8 last week. The chasing failed. It just, there's no other way to put it. Greg's a dear friend, and I love him very much. But this was a disaster of a week for Greg. And Campbell, like Greg said, went 10-1, 7-1 on her own. She got the the gifts that were the fault of me and COVID. So 7-1, which is legitimately fantastic. So, but for standings purposes, she went 10-1. For the year, Greg is now he's bleeding. He's 38-43. Campbell, meanwhile, is hitting 667. She's 54-27 for the year. I mean, she's getting 2 of every 3 picks right. Professional gamblers would take that.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I mean, like I said, this is including spreads. So, I mean, this isn't just pick a winner. This is like spreads are involved too. So, just unbelievable. Yeah. We might have found her of a new job title on her handicap extraordinaire and spin instructor.
What's funny is before we even started doing this podcast, my dad would like it's gonna be really funny. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, and you're not gonna get any of the games right. And here we are.
Yeah.
She sent me a text.
I still don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm still getting them right.
She sent me a text, Greg, on Saturday that said I should do this professionally, and I said I would not recommend that.
Yeah, I told my friends about it, and I was like, man, you should check out the podcast if you need some good bets. And he goes, man, as soon as I start betting her bets, they'll lose. And I was like, well, hey, you can start doing that this week if you'd like to. But I need all the help I can get. But wow, I just totally impressed. I mean, it's very impressive.
All right, so I'm giving you both a gift. We were going. I sent you early in the week. Liberty at Coastal Carolina. Liberty got COVIDed. Liberty is dead. Long rest in peace, Liberty. So you both start off 1-0. I started to throw the Brigham Young thing at you, and I'm like, no, not gonna do it. It's not their fault. I know the research was done. BYU plays at Coastal Carolina. Should be a really good game. So you both get it right. Congratulations. You're both 1-0 going into the week. Greg, do you want to lead or do you want to chase again today? It's up to you.
It's whatever Campbell wants to do. She's the professional. I'm just here along with to make the podcast hopefully a little bit better.
All right, we'll let Campbell lead. We'll give Greg the opportunity to chase since he is trailing by quite a bit right now. He's down. Since
I've already gone down the rabbit hole, might as well just stay in the rabbit hole.
I guess so. All right, so got a full slate in the SEC. Ole Miss is off this weekend. Mississippi State is off this weekend. Everybody else is in action. So we'll start with Texas A&M. They go to Auburn. This is an 11 a.m. game. You can see it on ESPN. The Aggies are a 6.5-point favorite at Jordan-Hare. Campbell, you're up.
Well, I think that we all know that I picked based on my college tours, so this is an easy choice for me with Auburn. I toured Auburn. That's about it.
You hated it, though. You hated that.
I know, but somehow every time I pick the school that I toured, I get it. So
I'm not one at this point to argue with a 667 batting average. You clearly
Yeah.
don't.
I mean, I don't even know if I need to make this comment or make a logical pick on this. I mean, it's just Auburn's going to be the bet here. So I'm going to take it Texas A&M. I think it's going to have to be a statement game for them. I mean, I like Texas A&M here. I think the Bo Nix train is still overrated, and I just think Texas A&M's playing good ball, and they've got a chance to get in that playoff if if the Big Ten doesn't get a five game whatever is going on with
Sure.
the playoffs. So I just think Texas A&M has a little bit more to play for, and I think they're a little bit they're a touchdown favorite here for a reason.
Yeah, they've got style points they need to go pick up. They need to win games big, and they've got a couple of tough games in front of them. Auburn, because Auburn late in seasons at home surprise people all the time. And then I think they've got a challenge next week against Ole Miss, assuming that game gets played. They finish with Tennessee, which should be a fairly easy game, but they got a couple of tough ones with Auburn and Ole Miss, and they need to not only win, but to win impressively. And sometimes that pressure can get to you a little bit. All right, so Greg takes the Aggies, Campbell takes the Tigers. Speaking of Tigers, Missouri is at home tomorrow, 11 a.m. on the SEC Network. They face the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas is a 3-point underdog. They're at is it Ferret Field? Is that what they call it there at Columbia? So Arkansas, a 3-point dog at Missouri. Campbell?
I'm gonna have to go with Arkansas, of course. I can't pick against them. I think we were supposed to play Alabama this weekend, but it got pushed back because this one had to get rescheduled.
That's right. This one got pushed back. Arkansas was supposed to play Missouri last week, but Arkansas had some COVID stuff, so it got moved back. And so your Alabama game gets moved to next weekend.
Well, everyone was excited for the Alabama game to have a at-home game, so maybe the excitement will carry into the away game where everybody can watch it. So I'm going with Arkansas, of course.
Yeah, you'll need more than excitement to beat Alabama next week. I'll just go ahead and prepare.
Well, we can dream.
You can absolutely dream. Why not? Greg, what do you think?
Not trying to fade her on this Arkansas. I like Arkansas. Sam Pittman's done a really good job with it, but I'm gonna have to travel down that rabbit hole and fade her on this one. I like Missouri. Maybe I can catch up on her on this week, but I'm not going to say Arkansas doesn't have a chance to win the game. I think it's going to be a fairly decent game, and it might come down to a late field goal. So I'm hoping for a push, to be friendly on it, but let's hope that Missouri gets a late touchdown for the cover.
Yeah, I went with Missouri on picks this week. I went back and forth on this one a little bit because I'm with you. I think this has a chance to be a really good football game. These two teams are pretty even, two well-coached teams, first-year coach, so both teams are going to play hard, all that stuff. Little Barry Odom angle in this, the former Missouri coach, now the Arkansas defensive coordinator. This is an emotional game for him. So if you're just –
Should be a really good game.
If you're looking for a game to watch and you don't care, this is probably a really good one. All right, Florida heads to Tennessee. The Gators ranked number 6 in the country. Tennessee is not ranked 6th in the country. This game at 2:30, it's on CBS. Florida is a 17-point favorite in Knoxville. If you had told me 10 years ago that Florida would be a 17-point favorite in Tennessee, I would have said no way. They are. Campbell, what do you think?
Well, I know that Tennessee is not good, and Florida's quarterback is really good. So I'm going to Florida, and it just looks like they'll win. So
you're going to lay the 17?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Greg. Campbell is laying 17. He's rolling with Kyle Trask and the Gators.
Yeah, I have to agree with her on this. I like Florida here. I mean, Tennessee's a hot disaster, and Garrettino is obviously not a SEC quarterback, and they're questioning the hire now. With Pruitt, and maybe he wasn't the guy. It is what it is. I mean, I know they originally hired Shiano, and the Twitter thing went crazy, and they got so. A lot of troubling times in Tennessee, and I just don't think it's a good spot for them. And I honestly see Florida literally hammering as hard as they can on this situation.
I have the hot take on Tennessee. I don't think it's a good job anymore. Because it was a good job 20 years ago doesn't mean it's a good job today. The landscape is different. It's much like Nebraska. When I was a kid, when you were a kid, Nebraska was a big-time program. And, I mean, they were national TV every week and the whole deal, and that's great. You can't take that away from them, but that doesn't mean that you'll be that in 2020, and they're not. I think Tennessee and Nebraska have a lot in common.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that take for sure. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, Tom Osborne would run that wishbone, and Tommy Frazier, and all those exclusive big backs back there for Nebraska. Just they were legendary teams, and I think that just the times maybe caught up. Offenses, change schemes and stuff like that. So. But yeah, I agree with you. The Tennessee doesn't look like a big time job, but you look at Georgia and Florida. I mean, you have to go through them to win the East now. And it's not a guarantee. So yeah, maybe Tennessee, maybe down the road, maybe hire somebody like a Freeze or somebody like that, and they become a little bit more significant. But right now, I think that it's a troubling program for sure.
All right, we'll step out of the SEC for a minute. Indiana is at Wisconsin. This is the 12th-ranked Hoosiers, the 16th-ranked Badgers. This game also at 2:30. You can see it on ABC. Campbell, you've made a lot of hay with the Hoosiers over the course of this season. What do you think?
I'm going to stick with Indiana. I know that Wisconsin has the COVID stuff, you said. So maybe the COVID will hold them back. I'm not sure. So, yep, I'm going to go with Indiana again.
So, Indiana loses their quarterback last week. Penix tears his ACL. The backup looks a lot like him, plays the same sort of style. How do you think that changes things, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, Indiana's a good club, man. I mean, they're you got to take your hat off to Tom Allen and that crew. I mean, they've done a really good job with the program in its first, and second year. So, Wisconsin, they had a little slip up against Northwestern. I think Northwestern's a decent team. I know they, kind of laid an egg against a bad Michigan State team last week, but that's just what happens when you're playing conference games back and forth. You're not, I like Wisconsin here. I'm not taking away anything from Indiana, but I've got to keep chasing, and I'll take the Badgers in a good spot here.
Okay, so Campbell's going to take Indiana and the 10 points. Greg's going to lay the 10 points with the Badgers. We'll stay outside of the SEC. We'll switch from the Big 10 to the Big 12 here. It's West Virginia at Iowa State. West Virginia is a 7-point underdog in Ames. It's the game's also at 2:30 on ESPN. A couple of good games opposite the Florida-Tennessee stinker. So West Virginia and Iowa State, Campbell, this game, and Iowa State's a 7-point favorite.
Well, I'm pretty sure we picked this last week, and I picked Iowa State because the coach's last name is Campbell.
That's correct.
So I think I'm going to do it again. I got that one right. So we're doing it again because his last name's Campbell.
It's just hard to argue with the scientific analysis of these games from her. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. I'm just going to agree with her. I like Iowa State. They're playing good football right now. I know that was a big win, on the road at Texas last week, and playing some good ball. And I think they're in the top 10 on the BCS.
They're good. They're legitimately good.
Yeah, they're good. And I don't think West Virginia's, I think this line should be a little bit higher, maybe 10.5, but I like the way Iowa State's playing, so I'm going to have to agree with it. I just, my last name's Jones, so I don't have that angle that Campbell has. So I'm just going to agree with her on this.
All right, so both of you taking Iowa State, laying 7 with the Cyclones. A game that will not be competitive. Vanderbilt heads to Georgia. This game at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern on the SEC Network. Georgia is giving 34 points in a conference game. 34 points. Campbell, you're up.
Well, obviously, I'm going to pick Georgia. The most I've heard about Vanderbilt this past week is about the female kicker.
What'd you think of that?
Well, I don't really know anything like if she's good or like. I know she plays on the soccer team.
She's a very good soccer player.
But it did seem kind of like a publicity stunt, in my opinion. But I don't know. We talked about it at lunch one day, actually, with Bobby, because her dad's a coach at Tulane, so she had been hearing all about it. So I don't know.
What did she think about it?
She thought it was cool, but she also agreed that it just seems very, I don't know, like it seems like a very big social media stunt with the.
So a couple of things happened. I don't know if you guys know about this, and I haven't talked a lot about it because I get beat up on social media, and people call me a sexist and they call me a misogynist. And Campbell, you've grown up in the same house with me. I think you probably would disagree with those assessments of me. I'm not that way at all. It's a couple of things. Number one is that there were other options on that roster to kick. It's not like she was the only person who could kick. But besides that, it was two things that really bothered the players. One, any player, male, female, whatever, who just joins the team on Tuesday doesn't get to speak to the team at halftime of when you're losing 20-0. You don't that person doesn't get to stand up and tell the team, hey, you all aren't trying hard enough. You suck. Let's go. This is how we do it at soccer. No, forget the fact that she's female. A team that's gone through an entire football season, especially one like this where you're getting beat and you're having all these COVID tests every other day, someone's swabbing the back of your brain with a Q-tip. You've been all through all this together, and all of a sudden a person shows up and does that. And then after the game, a 41-0 loss where you're just ready to get the hell out of there. They got delayed 40 minutes in Columbia so that she could be doing this press conference. And that didn't go over well. And it wasn't about her. They were upset at the administration. And then the very next day, Vanderbilt fires Derek Mason. And after saying, hey, this was kind of Coach Mason's move, they fire Derek Mason literally during the exact same hour that she's holding another press conference. It's not gone over well on that team, and it has nothing really to do with her being a female.
I agree. Well, and I didn't even know about the halftime thing, but that's very strange no matter the gender of the person.
It'd be like a person, Campbell, walking into, let's say you guys were having some issues at Chi-O and you had a chapter meeting, and somebody who's never been in your sorority shows up to tell you, here's what's wrong with your sorority and here's how we would fix it. You'd be like, well, hold up. We have a leadership structure here, and you have to have been in here to stand up and criticize your peers. Mm-hmm. So it's that deal. It'd be like me walking into LB's and going, we're not doing this right, Greg, and here's how we need to do this. I've never worked in your field before. I've never worked in retail. I've never been a butcher. I've never made house-made sausage, but you're not doing it right, and this is how you should do it. You'd be like, whoa, man, come on.
Yeah, I mean, that'd just be, that's a great example. I mean, it just, unless it's Kathy Ireland and Necessary Roughness, I would probably, listen. But, just sitting there and just being the thought of, just getting run over every game and trying to be competitive. And, it's not like Vanderbilt, is putting out a team that doesn't want to be competitive and doesn't want to win football games. And, I'm pretty sure every player on that team wants to win. And, It's a tough situation, but Vanderbilt's a disaster right now, and they haven't had any good pub, in a hot minute, and this is just some more cherries on the top of how bad they've handled certain things.
So you're gonna lay the 34 as well, Greg?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take it. I can't. I mean, as much as I like to bet on terrible football teams, I just can't bet on on this situation.
Yeah, their deal's a mess. A good friend of mine covers Vanderbilt, and I've heard insider stuff, and it's bad. A game that's weird. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea. I picked it, and you guys are about to pick it, and I don't know. South Carolina heads to Kentucky. 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, this game on the SEC Network. South Carolina getting 10.5 points in Lexington. Campbell?
This one, I don't really know, but I think I've picked South Carolina before because I went to a journalism conference there. So I'm going to do with that this week too.
You get the points that way. So you're going to go with the Gamecocks, get the 10.5. Greg, what do you think?
I'm going to have to agree with her. I mean, I just think that's a little too many points. I mean, regardless of how bad South Carolina's situation is, I mean, I don't think Kentucky's that great of a, good of a high-powered offense. I mean, South Carolina showed some spunk last week against Missouri, and just, it is what it is. But I think it's going to be a closer game, and I'll take double-digit points for sure. So I'll go with Campbell on this one.
All right, both of you guys taking the Gamecocks, getting the 10.5. Last game of the week, Alabama, top-ranked team in the country. They head to LSU. This game on CBS at 7 p.m. This game is rated R, by the way, if you have young people in your house. Alabama giving 28 points on the road in Baton Rouge. If I told you, Greg, a year ago when Alabama and LSU were playing in Tuscaloosa that next season Alabama will be a 28-point favorite in Baton Rouge, you would have said, Neil, you need help.
I would have taken that bet, and I'd have lost, and I'd probably lost my store on top of that bet for sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like you were saying, even 10 years ago, whenever you were thinking if Florida be favored that much on the road against Tennessee, nobody would have thought the same thing, with this line. Alabama's a good football team. It seems like every year we always ask, compare them to other Alabama teams. How good is that, versus this one? And I think this team's pretty solid up in town. And I think Saban's probably going to take it a little personal last year. And I know that there's a lot of billboard material in that Alabama locker room which they probably don't need to be reminded. One of probably the biggest one was the LSU fans going over to the Alabama recruits that were at that game and saying that they need to come to LSU instead of Alabama. Well, I'm pretty sure there's an Alabama recruit that, saw that and actually is playing at Alabama. So, I think this is going to be a take personal game, and I think that Saban's really going to take it personal, and it might be it's 5-10 easy. That's just what I'm going to go with.
All right, Campbell, Greg's going to lay the 28 with Alabama. I have a feeling you are as well. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with him. You told me about the LSU player videoing that speech that their coach gave and publishing it on social media. So I agree with Greg here. And yes, I agree.
Stuff gets said in locker rooms all the time. It's not supposed to get filmed and disseminated, and LSU's going to pay for that transgression Saturday night, in my opinion.
Don't need to add any gas to that fire. I promise you that.
No, right now, at least, when you beat Alabama, you should say, wow, we feel really fortunate to have defeated Alabama. They are a phenomenal program. They are the preeminent program in college football, and we have mass respect for them, and this is a huge accomplishment for us, and we're going to go enjoy it. But our respect for the Crimson Tide is whatever you need to say. You don't need to poke that snake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that LSU team last year was a 1 in a million. Yep. A lot of seniors. Joe Burrow transfer. So I mean, the stars and the moon aligned for them, and they went on the road last year and beat Alabama. So I mean, not a lot of teams can have that feather in their cap with that being said, you accept the feather and you move on, because, there's going to be next year, and you're not going to have Joe Burrow, and you're not going to have those 15, seniors that started. And, I think half of those were All-Americans maybe. So, just don't poke the bear. That's all I have to reference on that for sure.
All right, so you're both taking Alabama, both laying the 28. I think that's smart. I think you're both going to finish at least with you're going to start with a win because you got a free one, and you're going to finish with a win, in my opinion, with the game in Baton Rouge. All right, Campbell, what do you have planned for the weekend?
Honestly, not much. This is our last weekend before we got to study for finals. So we're just having a chill weekend. Might go to Bentonville tomorrow for the day, and that's about it.
I like Bentonville. It's a cool place. Greg, what's going on at LB's? You loaded up?
Like I said, Zach made over 150 pounds of sausage last night, so got plenty of sausage. About to load the smoker up. About to cut some fresh rib eyes and have everything ready to go. And, just hoping for a solid weekend. It's everybody was probably overdue on the turkey and the ham, and that's why it's a once-a-year thing. It's get back on track and eating some beef and some ribs and some sausage, and got some fresh salmon. I smoked some salmon also, and honestly, I got another product. I got some quail in. We got some semi-boneless quail. It's a little 4-pack of quail, and I did one with I stuffed it with a jalapeno and cream cheese and ribeye, and I stuffed one of them with a jalapeno and crab and cornbread. So that's a little something different. But you can I don't know if you've ever had fried quail before, but it's very, very good, and I highly recommend it.
Never had that. I'll have to give that a shot. All right, yeah. We'll close it down there. Hope you both have a great weekend. Good luck to both of you with your picks, and stay safe and all of that. We'll be back next week. First of all, Greg, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, always just call the store, 662-259-2999. We're located across the street from the Kroger on University Avenue. So, if you want to get your groceries at Kroger, but come and get your meats at the LB's. That's kind of what a lot of people have been coming to do lately. So just always call the store. Maybe do the Facebook message or Instagram message. I'll try to get back as quickly as possible with you on that. But just call the store if you're wanting some holiday options for the Christmas coming up. Beef tenderloin, standing rib roast, Cornish game hens, a lot of different stuff. Even that quail. It would be a good option for Christmas. So just call the store always.
Hit that like button if you would on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel that hosts this particular show. And again, thanks to both of you for your time today. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back next week with another edition of The Butcher versus the Spin Instructor, presented by LB's Meat Market. For Campbell McCready, for Greg Jones, I'm Neil McCready. That does it. Take care. Talk to you soon.